Dear ladies and gentlemen, there will be seasons in your life when it feels like the lights are off. You're praying, but nothing's changing. You're giving your best, but no one's clapping. You're planting seeds. But the ground looks empty. But I came to tell someone today, keep building in the dark, because the dark doesn't mean God left you. The dark doesn't mean you're losing. The dark is often the very place where God develops you before he reveals you. You don't need a spotlight to obey your calling. You don't need an audience to build your assignment. Some of the most powerful things God does in your life happen behind closed doors, when no one sees, when no one affirms, and when no one claps. I know it's tempting to stop, to say, what's the point? But I need you to hear me. What you build in the dark will bless you in the light. Ask Noah. He built a boat with no rain. Ask Joseph. He kept interpreting dreams in a prison. Ask Jesus. He carried the cross when no one truly understood the mission. The dark seasons test your heart. They test if you're building for God or for approval. They test if you trust his process. Or just the promise, but if you stop now, you might forfeit what's on the other side. So don't let the silence of now rob you of the significance of later. Keep showing up, keep praying, keep working. Keep sowing, because when God turns the lights on, he won't have to find you. He'll just reveal you. You've been faithful when no one was watching. You've been building when no one was clapping. You've been believing when nothing was shifting. And heaven sees it, so keep building, even in the dark, especially in the dark, because the dark is where destiny grows. 10 key points of the speech dark seasons are not signs of failure. They are part of the process. God develops you in private before revealing you in public. You don't need validation to walk in obedience. Greatness is built in silence, not in applause. Biblical examples show faithful building in unseen places: Noah, Joseph, Jesus. The dark tests your motives. Are you building for God or recognition? Stopping in the dark can cost you your breakthrough. Your faithfulness in secret will be rewarded in the open. Heaven keeps record even when the world overlooks. Destiny is often birthed in obscurity, not the spotlight. Absolutely. Here's an *** expanded version of key point 1 ** without a subtitle or conclusion, written in a deeply impactful and motivational tone. There's something about the dark that makes us uncomfortable. We want clarity, we crave confirmation, we ask God for direction, and when we don't hear anything, we start questioning everything. But here's what we often miss. Just because it's dark doesn't mean it's wrong. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean you're off course. The absence of noise is not the absence of God. Sometimes we misinterpret the silence of a season as the sign of a mistake, but God often does his greatest work in silence. A seed does its most critical development underground, hidden from sight, wrapped in darkness. No one claps for the seed. No one sees the root system being formed, but without that hidden stage, the harvest can't happen. The same is true for us. There are moments when life feels like you're trapped in a tunnel. You can't see the end, you can't feel progress. It's just more prayers, more effort, more showing up, and still no reward. But what if that's not a sign that you're off track? What if that's proof you're exactly where God needs you to be? When it's dark, God teaches you to walk by faith not by sight. He removes the crutches. He silences the crowd. He shuts off the stage lights, because what he's developing in you doesn't require the audience just yet. He's building roots, character, integrity, patience, endurance, things that don't sparkle but sustain. If everything made sense, if everything came quickly, you'd never have to grow. You'd never have to stretch. You'd never have to trust. And trust is the currency of faith. The truth is, you're not being punished in the dark, you're being prepared. Because God knows that when you step into the light, you need more than talent to sustain you. You need strength, you need depth. You need the kind of power that only comes from building when no one's watching. So maybe, just maybe, the darkness isn't a detour. It's the design, of course. Here's a *** fully expanded version of key point 2 ** without a subtitle or conclusion, written in a powerful, spiritually driven tone that mirrors Steven Furtick's emotional, rhythmic preaching style. God is not in a rush to reveal what he hasn't yet refined. And while we are so often focused on being seen, being recognized, being celebrated, God is focused on building a version of you that can handle the spotlight before you step into it. That's why he takes time in the dark. That's why he works in the unseen places of your life. Because what's being developed in private is more important than what's displayed in public. We live in a culture that worships visibility. If people can't see it, we think it doesn't matter. If it's not on display, we think it has no value. But God operates differently. He often hides his greatest work. Think about it. The baby grows in the womb. The diamond forms under pressure. The foundation of every great building is laid underground. The most critical part of the structure is the part no one ever sees. God develops you in private because the process requires a level of attention and intimacy that the public space can't offer. He isolates you not to punish you, but to protect the purity of your process. Because when people start clapping too early, when they start commenting and criticizing before you're ready, it can crush what God is still crafting. You may feel forgotten, but you are being formed. You may feel hidden, but you are being held. God is shaping you in silence so that when he finally reveals you, you're not just a flash in the pan. You're a flame that can't be put out. You're not just a personality. You're a person with depth, with strength, with divine perspective. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Public platforms without private preparation lead to public collapse. If you skip the development, you might step into something you don't have the character to carry. That's why God delays the spotlight. That's why he tells you to keep building even when no one's looking. Because he's more interested in your foundation than your followers. So, when the lights are off and no one sees the sacrifice you're making, the late nights, the prayers with tears, the battles you're fighting in silence, know this: heaven sees, God sees, and he's not just letting you wait, he's helping you win. He's not just building the dream, he's building you absolutely. Here is the ** expanded version of key point 3 **, written in a passionate, faith-driven tone that inspires deep reflection and unwavering focus on purpose over approval. You don't need validation to obey your calling. Read that again. You don't need likes, shares, retweets, applause, or recognition to walk in what God has spoken over your life. The danger of waiting for validation is that it becomes a substitute for obedience. If you're only moving when people approve, then you're no longer being led by the Spirit. You're being managed by opinions. The truth is, obedience doesn't always look impressive. It doesn't always draw a crowd. Sometimes it looks like showing up to a job you hate because God hasn't released you yet. Sometimes it looks like forgiving someone who hasn't apologized. Sometimes it looks like building something for years that no one notices and still staying faithful. And here's the challenge: most people will only celebrate the results, not the roots. They'll cheer for the fruit, but they weren't there during the drought. They'll want access to your platform, but they didn't see you in the prayer closet. That's why your obedience can't be based on public affirmation. It has to be rooted in a deeper conviction *** that what God said is enough ***. God doesn't call you to be popular. He calls you to be **faithful**. And sometimes faithfulness looks like obscurity. It looks like silence. It looks like daily disciplines that no one applauds but heaven records. The moment you shift your focus from what will they think to what did God say, everything changes. You stop building for approval and start building for assignment. You stop hesitating and start moving in divine confidence, because approval is a slippery slope. If people can talk you * into * your purpose, they can also talk you * out of * it. But when your obedience is anchored in God's voice, no opinion can move you, no rejection can stop you, no silence can shake you. You realize that every act of faith, even the unseen ones, are building something eternal. God is not interested in you impressing people. He's interested in you obeying him. And sometimes he will purposely keep you hidden, not because you're unworthy, but because he's guarding your assignment from the noise of public opinion. He's teaching you that the reward isn't in the recognition, it's in the obedience. So keep going, even if no one claps. Keep showing up, even if no one sees. Keep serving, even when it's not celebrated. Because when God is your audience, obedience is never wasted. Certainly. Here is a *** fully expanded version of key point 4 **, written in an emotionally stirring conviction, heavy tone designed to push the listener beyond the need for validation and into faithful, purpose-driven perseverance. We live in a world addicted to applause. We chase likes, comments, recognition, and visibility, believing that external affirmation confirms internal value. But hear me loud and clear, **, greatness is not built on applause. Greatness is built in silence. **, the applause will come and go. People will cheer for you today and forget you tomorrow. One moment they'll lift you up and the next moment they'll walk away. That's why you can't let your drive be fueled by their praise, because if applause is your foundation, then criticism will become your destruction. What people give, they can take away, but what God builds in silence, no one can shake. In fact, the greatest things in life are not built on stages. They're built in secret. It's the hours of discipline no one sees. The sacrifices you make when everyone else is sleeping, the hard choices you face when no one is watching, that's where real strength is forged. That's where true calling is proven, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. When you build in silence, something sacred happens. You begin to hear God more clearly. You become less distracted by noise. You become rooted, stable, steady, not because the world is affirming you, but because your foundation is deeper than applause. And that's the version of you God wants to raise up, the version that doesn't need the crowd to know you're called. You've got to be okay with being misunderstood. You've got to be willing to be overlooked. Because some of the most dangerous moments in life are when you start needing the noise to feel like you're moving. Silence is not a sign of stagnation. It's often a sign of sacred development. What people don't see, God still values. Applause might feel good in the moment, but it does nothing for your soul. Silence, on the other hand, forces you to dig deep. It confronts your ego. It purifies your motives. It teaches you to be faithful without fanfare. Because if you can worship without music, if you can serve without recognition, if you can build without a crowd, then you're not doing it for them. You're doing it for Him. And that kind of work will last. That kind of heart will withstand the storms. That kind of calling can't be shaken by silence, forgotten by others, or taken by time. So while others may chase attention, choose depth. While others perform for praise, keep showing up in secret. While others burn out chasing claps, you stay steady building what's eternal, because real greatness, it doesn't shout for attention. It shows up in the dark and builds anyway, certainly. Here is the ** full expanded version of key point 5 ** in the emotionally gripping, scripture-rich tone inspired by Steven Furtick's style, urging deep faith through biblical examples of silent strength and unseen obedience. If you ever need a reminder that God honors faithfulness in the unseen, just look at the pages of Scripture. The Bible is filled with men and women who built in the dark, people who moved by faith, not visibility. They didn't wait on a sign to obey. They didn't wait for affirmation to act. They trusted God even when it didn't make sense, and what they built in silence, God used in power. Take Noah, for example. God told him to build an ark, not during a flood, not during a storm, but during a drought. Can you imagine how foolish he must have looked? No rain, no thunder, no signs. And yet, he's out there building a boat the size of a football field. Day after day, hammer after hammer, being mocked by people who couldn't see what God had told him. But Noah didn't need their understanding. He had God's word. He He built in silence, and when the rain finally came, his obedience saved generations. Then there's Joseph, thrown into a pit by his own brothers. Sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison, and yet he kept interpreting dreams, he kept serving. He kept honoring God when there was no applause, no spotlight, and no sign of promotion. For 13 years he lived in the shadows, but when his moment came he was ready, not because he chased a crown, but because he was faithful in the dungeon. His consistency in the dark positioned him for authority in the light. And Jesus, our ultimate example, before the miracles, before the crowds, before the resurrection, he lived 30 years in almost complete obscurity, no fame, no stage, just silent obedience. He learned carpentry. He honored his parents. He served faithfully in the background, with no spotlight, no followers, no earthly recognition. Why? Because even the Son of God understood, before the public mission comes the private preparation. These stories are not just history, they are patterns. God repeatedly uses the dark to develop the depth. He puts his people in silent seasons not to punish them, but to prepare them for influence they're not yet ready to carry. You don't see the pressure, you don't hear the prayers, you don't feel the weight they carry behind the scenes. But that's the point. What's unseen is often more powerful than what's visible. So when you feel like you're building and no one sees, when it feels like your effort is invisible, remember you're in good company. The heroes of faith were often overlooked long before they were celebrated. They weren't building for attention, they were building for obedience. And when the time came, what they built in the dark stood strong in the light. Let their stories remind you, God sees every moment of obedience, every act of service, every sacrifice made in silence. You may not be written into a Bible, but you are being written into a divine legacy. You're building something eternal. Even if it's still hidden, certainly. Here's a deeply expanded version of Key Point 6 **, written in a powerful, introspective tone that explores the ** internal battle of motives **, crafted in the emotionally resonant and spiritually challenging style of Steven Furtick. One of the most important lessons God teaches us in the dark is about our ** motives **. Not the ones we post about, not the ones we say out loud, the real motives, the ones hidden beneath the surface. The dark reveals them, it tests them, it presses on them to see what you're really building for. Are you building for applause, or for purpose? Are you doing it to be seen, or because you were sent? It's easy to say we're doing something for God, but the dark exposes what we truly desire. When no one is clapping, when no one is commenting, when no one is sharing your content or celebrating your progress, do you still want to keep going? If the answer is no, it might not be about God as much as you think. That's not condemnation, that's clarity. God will often allow the silence to surface what your heart is really chasing. The spotlight can't refine your motives. The stage won't fix your insecurities. That's why he starts you in the dark, because when everything is quiet, the only voice left to follow is his. When you're in the dark, the performance stops. You can't fake purpose in silence. You can't pretend to be strong when no one's looking. The dark strips away the image. It peels back the mask. It confronts the approval addiction. And that's where real transformation happens. Not when you're being seen, but when you're being searched. Because here's the truth. It's possible to do the right thing with the wrong heart. It's possible to build a ministry, a business, a family, or even a platform and have it all look godly on the outside, yet be fueled by insecurity, pride, or the need to prove someone wrong. And God, in his mercy, will delay your promotion to protect you from self-destruction. He'll hold back the spotlight until your motives are rooted in his glory, not your gain. It's not that he doesn't want to elevate you. It's that he doesn't want the elevation to crush you. Because if you're building your life on approval, the moment it disappears, so does your sense of worth. But when you're building from intimacy with God, when your why is clear, when your motives are pure, even the silence becomes sacred. This is where God asks hard questions. Asterisk, will you still serve if no one notices? Will you still give if no one thanks you? Will you still preach, create, sing, lead, teach, or work if no one praises you? Asterisk, because if you say yes in the dark, he can trust you in the light. So let the silence refine you. Let the shadows teach you. Let the unseen place be where your heart gets realigned. You are not forgotten. You are being forged. God is stripping away what doesn't belong, so what remains can carry the weight of the purpose He's placed inside of you. Certainly, here's the expanded version of Key Point 7 in a bold, prophetic, heart-stirring style, urging perseverance and endurance in the middle of silent, unseen seasons. Crafted with spiritual urgency and clarity, there is a danger in stopping too soon. A danger in giving up in the middle of your building season just because you can't see what's happening. But not every delay is a denial, and not every silence is a stop sign. Sometimes the breakthrough you're praying for is just one act of obedience away. But if you stop in the dark, you may never see what was waiting in the light. The enemy knows he can't destroy your calling, so he tries to wear down your consistency . He whispers things like, "What's the point? Why keep going? Nobody cares. It's not working." And if you're not careful, you'll let the darkness convince you that your effort is empty. You'll stop digging 6 feet from the well. You'll walk away from a harvest that was already scheduled by heaven, simply because it didn't show up on your timeline. That's the strategy of discouragement. It doesn't need to stop you completely. It just needs to slow you down long enough that you never finish what you started. You begin to believe that because no one is clapping, nothing is happening. Because no one is watching, nothing is working. But God doesn't always show you the fruit before He tests your faith. Stopping in the dark can cost you more than time. It can cost you destiny . Think about the Israelites. They were on their way to the promised land. It was already theirs. God had prepared it, planned it, and promised it. But when things got difficult, when the desert got long and the path looked dry, they started grumbling, doubting, hesitating. And some of them never made it, not because the promise wasn't real, but because they stopped trusting in the middle of the process. And that's exactly what the enemy wants from you. To quit right before the walls fall, to stop praying right before the breakthrough, to stop showing up right before God shows out. But your obedience in the dark is what positions you to receive in the light. You can't see it, but your faithfulness is stacking up. Every tear you've cried, every time you said yes to God when it cost you something, every silent act of service, it's being recorded in heaven. And the blessing that's coming doesn't just depend on God's ability to give it, depends on your willingness to finish. So many people never experience the fullness of what God had for them, not because they weren't gifted, not because they weren't called, but because they got tired of waiting in the shadows. They wanted visibility more than maturity. They wanted applause more than endurance, and they stopped short. But that doesn't have to be your story. Don't abandon the thing God called you to just because it doesn't look the way you imagined yet. Don't walk away from the wall just because it hasn't fallen yet. Sometimes the greatest enemy of your future is not failure, it's fatigue. And in those moments you have to make a decision. Do I stop because I don't feel it? Or do I trust the God who gave me the assignment in the first place? Your future is too important. Your purpose is too big, and your impact is too valuable to quit now. Keep swinging, keep sowing, keep showing up. Because if you stop now, you might miss everything He's been preparing just for you.